Good morning, everyone. We begin with politics today and what is promising to be an entertaining next couple of weeks leading up to the federal Tory nomination in the riding of the new riding of Calgary-Signal Hill. Residents in the new riding will be choosing between incumbent MP Rob Anders and the former Calgary West riding and former Alberta Cabinet Minister Ron Leipert. The battle between these two is heating up, to say the least. Anders says he's planning to sue Ron Leipert now for defamation. Leipert says he has already filed a complaint against Anders with Elections Canada. Leipert says his complaint alleges specific instances of calls from the Anders' campaign phone number claiming to be the Ron Leipert campaign. Anders says Leipert's allegations are unfounded. He says there are no robocalls happening and that he would never claim to be Ron Leipert. All will be decided, by the way, at the Tory nomination meeting on April the 12th. The bill for Alison Redford's final trip as Premier has come in. $131,000 did include a weekend getaway to London. The trip was a 2-week trade mission and networking trip to India and Switzerland with a side stopover in London. It came in roughly $11,000 over budget. Most of the money, about $101,000, went to pay to fly Alison Redford, her team of 2 MLAs, and 4 members of her inner circle. In the final week of the 2-week trip, Redford and her executive assistant traveled to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. That trip included 2 days in Afghanistan that was canceled last minute because of renewed violence in that country. Instead, Premier Redford spending a weekend in London. According to the government, the flight changes were picked up by the taxpayer, but all other London costs were paid for personally by Alison Redford. In Toronto, Rob Ford coming under fire during the first mayoral debate hosted by our very own City News.
4 years ago, I was elected to stop the gravy train. I have stopped the gravy train.
Mr. Ford, it's time for you to go because your gravy train has turned into a train wreck.
None of his main rivals directly mentioned the so-called crack video or other scandals plaguing Rob Ford. Instead, the debate saw Ford and 4 mayoral contenders talk about local issues like transit and the city's budget. Ford defending his fiscal record as he took shots at his rivals. Former New Democrat MP Olivia Chow alluding to but did not mention Ford's well-known problems, including smoking crack cocaine while in office in a drunken stupor and spouting obscenities on live television. The only time it came up was after a reporter asked the question. Toronto voters heading to the polls on October 27th. More evidence this morning that the debris field of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 has been found. There's word today that a Thai satellite has detected about 300 floating objects, various sizes, in the South Indian Ocean near the search zone. Investigators believe the airliner crashed in the South Indian Ocean. The objects are about 200 kilometers where a French satellite spotted more than 100 objects on Sunday. Still not clear yet if any of the floating debris is part of the missing aircraft. Meantime, more rough weather halting the search for debris. Nothing found yesterday because planes were forced to return to base after only a couple of hours in air. Flight 370, of course, disappearing on March 8th. 239 people on board, including 2 Canadians. Ottawa has tabled legislation to get grain moving again across the prairies. The bill aims to increase the movement of grain sitting in bins because of a transportation bottleneck. Agriculture Minister Jerry Ritz says he's confident CN and CP Rail will face the challenges being imposed on them through legislation. Among other things, the bill extends inter-switching limits in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Most grain elevators are only served by one railway, and expanding inter-switching would allow more service by more rail companies. And that's your news to 7:07. Heading back to Jill Bellin now.